Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Black Spectrum Networks, The Secret Services. You are watching my celebrity psychic readings. My name is Quintari Shakir. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com and purchase a private psychic reading. Please like this video. Please share this video. Please comment on this video. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and as soon as I can reach 1,000 subscribers, I've made YouTube partner, and I will start providing you all with more readings about the Black community, and I'll be able to provide you with more different types of content. So we're going to be doing a reading on Lil Kim. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle these personality cards, and I'm going to talk about Lil Kim as a child. I did a video on Lil Kim before, and this is going to be a follow-up. So if you want to know about Lil Kim's adult personality, check that video out. So I'm going to do a childhood reading on her. And so I'm not going to pull that many cards to talk about her as a child. But I am going to give us enough information to start us off with the story of Lil Kim. Okay, so at a very young age, Lil Kim was a young girl who she had at 7, 8 she knew that she was attracted to little boys, and she flirted. She was the girl that picked on the boys that she found cute. Some of the other little boys found her, to be an attractive little girl, and she thought that she was very pretty. She was, she was the queen, very literally as a young child, she was the queen bee of her social circle. She was a teacher's pet. I'm not seeing her being a teacher, but I'm seeing her being a teacher's pet. So it's kind of like a lot of like older women like Lil Kim when she was a young girl, and a lot of people saw her as someone that had a lot of charisma. And she was she was very talkative and expressive and, really sweet and, kind of, wise beyond her years, but, she's a little girl. She was very fun. It wasn't, like she was out here, as a 7-year-old girl preaching, but she, was very intuitive already. And so I'm also seeing that she was someone, as a child, she was, her ancestors, and maybe Lil Kim can attest to this, she'll say that she's like blessed, kind of like her ancestors protected her from a lot of at-home abuse, because I'm hearing that she was as a child she may have been sexually violated, and I want to say it's by a male family member, but I really want to say is what I'm hearing is about a female family member that was very masculine, sexual abuse, and I'm also hearing that Lil Kim also. It's I can't say, it's like I can't say too much about this because it's like Kim's guys are like around her energy, and it's like she doesn't really want a lot of this to be known because it's like family gossip. But just let's put it this way: it was like Kim intuitively knew what was going on, and she wasn't manipulated into anything. How do I say this? She wasn't manipulated into keeping things quiet. Once it happened to her, once whatever this is happened to her, she knew exactly how to tell. And I'm hearing that she has a family member who really looked after her, and it's a male family member. But I'm also hearing that as a child, even though she was really popular and well liked, There was also a lot of bullying that she experienced, based around just how it's really like every kid gets bullied, but she interprets her bullying as people didn't like me, and I was just a nice person. And people and people didn't like me because, and I started to find out that people didn't like me because of this and this reason, this and that reason. She internalized, she personalized a lot of the insults that were like directed towards her. It's kind of like every kid got picked on, and I can't say specifically what students or her peers were saying about her in particular that was getting to her, but I am hearing that she personalized a lot of it, and I'm also hearing that the way that she said this in an interview, that she said that she got surgery because she wanted to look like a white woman. Okay, I feel almost as though we know how white supremacy affects how African Americans look at how we look at ourselves in terms of beauty and our identity. But the point that I'm trying to make is that much deeper than that is this. Lil Kim as a child started absorbing a lot of the attacks that were launched against her. It's kind of like if a girl said that she was fat, she was like, "Oh, am I fat?" If a girl said she was ugly, it's kind of like she would second guess if she was ugly, even though the boy said that she was cute and they flirted with her. It's kind of like she how do I say this? She always wanted to be the center of attention, but she couldn't. But the thing is, as a child, she didn't. Children don't know this, but she couldn't take it both ways. It's kind of like you are the center of attention, but it's going to come with It's going to come with sometimes excessive scrutiny because you are attracting so much positive attention, and she would sometimes personalize the negative things that happened to her. And that's all to say, it made it hard for her as a child to, really hear the good being said about her. So, people would say, all right, well, Kim, she's so attractive. How is it that this, Kim would want to, alter what she looks like? And it's like, okay, yeah, you're telling her that she's so attractive, but sometimes children never get over those generational pathologies. Or those childhood pathologies, and it just starts showing up as we are. It starts showing up as adults. Sorry, I'm over here trying to get these cards shuffled. I'm trying to shuffle my cards in anyway so I don't bend them. So I want to do a reading on how it was that Lil Kim grew up. That was just pretty much her personality, pretty much what she drew from life, and some important moments that happened to her. Okay, so I'm going to draw 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So I'm using a new method to speed up my readings. Okay. So I'm just drawing 4 cards, and it doesn't really matter how I read them. All right. So the first card, not the first card, but the first question is, what was her childhood like? So Lil Kim's childhood was one where I'm seeing that a lot of people protected her. She's very close to her family, her biological family, and what I'm hearing is like they are like mafia style. and how close they are. It's kind of like, secrets are in the family, but they don't get out of the family. They're very tight-lipped people. Lil Kim was very protected by a lot of men. Like, men are very, very protective of her, and I'm seeing that just in her family history. It's kind of like there are like a lot of a lot of the men are kind of warrior-esque in their in how they deal with things. So they are very confrontational, aggressive, and it's not in a stereotypical way, but it's in this in a way that's like, you don't mess with their family. You don't mess with Lil Kim's family. And I'm also hearing that there was they participated in the underground economy. And that's how she grew up. She didn't go without. It's not like she grew up poor. She was like, what I'm hearing is Winter Santiago from The Coldest Winter Ever. She was, grew up in an urban neighborhood, but her, family, monopolized from the underground economy, and, they had some money, and they were protected. I'm also seeing that I'm seeing that at a very young age, like Lil Kim already had a very progressive view of her sexuality, and women's sexuality. I'm hearing that Lil Kim is very, very intelligent. Like, so as a young girl, she would look at like magazines and see, I'm seeing like Grace Jones, for example, and her looking at that sort of display of sexuality, Josephine Baker, and, wanting to, put her own spin to it. It's kind of like Kim always knew that that she always like intuitively knew that like young girls were over sexualized, and she was kind of like, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with me being sexy? I'm going to be sexy. I like being sexy. And she really pushed that narrative at a very, young age about herself. And it's not like when I'm saying very young age, they're showing me someone that's in the sixth grade age, who was, for all intents and purposes, a soul that was born, reincarnated progressive. I mean, she's very in touch with her body, and she was already how do I put this? What Spirit is trying to show me, they're showing me a mirror, her in a mirror. It's like she already mastered the art of self-reflection. Like, you couldn't tell her, it's not like you could sit here and tell Lil Kim, all right, you are degrading yourself right now. She's like, I'm not degrading myself. I'm in control of what I'm doing. You can't tell me what I'm doing is devaluing me when I'm the queen. Whatever I do is great. Whatever I do is awesome. So if I am, showing, my titties, I promise you I'm gonna get paid from it. I'm gonna make money from it. Do you know that this sells? That's how I'm hearing her say it. So she also had like boyfriends, like, they're showing, okay, now we're at 14. So we're like, 13, 14. She had boyfriends, like lots of boyfriends that gave her just money. It's like, dude, give me your money. Give me some money. Buy me this, buy me that. Take me shopping. Take me here. Give me a hot dog. I want pizza. That's all I'm hearing it. And so, Yeah, these guys were like 16, 17 working at McDonald's. It's like, some of these guys were like really, but it's like some of these guys were really, when I say working at McDonald's, some guys were working at McDonald's and some guys were in the underground economy. Regardless, they had her iced out. She was very used to nice things. And she's always been used to being taken care of and being seen as, this is parentifying a young child, but she's always seen herself as a woman. And that's because the reality is her family raised her as a young woman at a very young age. They parentified her at a young age. And Lil Kim has always been very adult in her mindset. All right. So finally, Kim, she didn't want for anything. Let me just put it this way. She didn't want for anything. She did not want for anything. All right? She didn't want for anything. She ate well. Okay? She had her meals. She had, nice clothes. She worked hard for her shit, in terms of her, music, yes. But as far as growing up, her family they took care of themselves. They have a very tight-knit family. You don't say anything bad about them. You don't mess with them. And she was the center of their attention. So my next set of cards is asking about how was she discovered. Let's see. It doesn't really. It doesn't matter how I read these cards. So the first card, how is she discovered? I'm seeing this as somebody saw her. Let me put it this way. What does this mean? It's like literally somebody saw her. It's not like she was walking in the mall or anything, but it's like it's kind of like she had always had an inclination towards entertain. She had always been inclined to move towards entertainment. Like she wanted to be a model. She wanted to be a model, and she liked music. She saw what, it's kind of like Lil Kim, if she hadn't have gone into rapping, she would have been a model. She would have tried to become a supermodel. And I think that she could have been very successful with it, to be honest with you. Very, very, that's because I'm from here. She could have been successful as a model. But Spirit had it in her plan to where she, in this lifetime, was to be, and this is what I'm hearing, like an intergalactic superstar. And using her platform to, using her platform to revitalize the way that we looked at women, to give us a refreshment, a refresher course on how we look at women. Refreshment. Anyway, so how was she discovered? So literally, someone saw her. It's really just someone saw her and pulled her into the studio. I think that she had always just, been a little bit open to music, but it's kind of like she had a friend that's like, oh, I'm doing music. And this is what I'm hearing. It's a man. Man obviously taller than her, because I'm hearing that she's a shorter woman. It's a man that's obviously taller than her, and he had been involved in the music industry. They didn't have a romantic relationship. They were kind of platonic friends, kind of homeboy, homegirlish. And he brings her into it, and he's like, I think that you'd be good on this track. Come do this. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll try this out. And I think that was like, she got a taste of being in the music studio. But there also, yeah, she found out when she was so when Kim was in the studio, a lot of people saw her potential as a rapper. And she was naturally good with rapping. she had to be taught and trained, but she learned really quickly how to it's she this is what they're saying, it's voice acting. They're saying like she mastered the art of voice acting at a very, very quick pace, and that impressed a lot of men who for them it's a longer learning curve. She was just naturally good at this. Um, and then there's an emotional relationship that started. There's a man that she got into a relationship with that opened up the door for her to really stay in the room. She strategized how to stay in the room by getting into a relationship with a man. I think this is Biggie. And so I can't see a man in I can't see the man, but I can see her in the relationship with a man. And what this tells me is that this man wasn't, they were in a relationship, but she was in a relationship with him. I don't think that he was in a relationship with her, but he was really dealing with her, seriously dealing with her, telling her things, deep affection. But it's like a sister. No, not like it's not like sibling sister, but it's kind of like they had a best friendship to the degree where in my today a guy would say, oh, that's my sister, that's my homegirl, but it's like that they have a much deeper relationship with each other, something that's more intimate, and that's how it was, and she was already in love with him. And I'm saying that intimacy, friendship, all played a large role in her being able to be discovered. But finally, what I'm really seeing in how the story is playing out is Lil Kim, she was legitimate in how she was able to establish herself in this industry. Now, this is what I'm hearing. Did she have to make some choices that she didn't want to make? Yes. But for the most part, she did this. She got into the room, found the most powerful man in the room, associated herself with him so that it could be known that she's his woman and she didn't have to do certain things to get a record deal, okay? Because if she did those things for you, her dude that she was known to be possessed by was coming after you. So if that makes any sense, does that make sense? I hope this really makes sense. Like, she was very smart in who she associated herself with, and she didn't have to do as much. She didn't have to do as much as other people had to do to stay in the room. If you all can read between the lines, because the person that she associated with didn't play that. Okay. So now we're going to ask, how did Biggie's death affect her? So, with Biggie's death, I'm seeing where Kim had a side piece. Kim had a side piece when she was with Biggie. It was another guy that she had on the side, and this guy was really, really into her. And she kind of sort of dropped him. It was kind of like, I need time alone. I need time to myself. It was a moment of clarity for her. she's like, what am I doing? The guy that I really loved is gone, and I'm dealing with this dude on the side. Just he was kind of like a space filler. But I'm also seeing where it sent her into depression. It sent her into depression. I think that she had some thoughts of suicide. She was deeply in love with Biggie. And this is what they're saying is that he had been integral to her career. He had been integral to her development as an artist and as a woman. Because he taught her how to be powerful in that industry. He taught her how to earn respect. And to stay on her feet and not on her knees. Like, seriously. He gave her social black card. And she felt indebted to him. Kind of like, this was my best, this was beyond my best friend. He did things that, some of them, it was kind of like he did, it was like her father. Because her father, like, she has a really, really deep respect for men. Because men have always been protective and nurturing and financially providing for her. And Biggie did that for her. She loved him the way that she loved her father. So when this death had her kind of like, over the toilet, vomiting. So, she cared for him deeply. The cards are still speaking. 1 second. I'm downloading the picture. Yeah, so okay, so the funeral. There's a lot that happened at this funeral. There's a lot that happened at Biggie's funeral. It is messy. They're showing me Kim not getting the spot that she wanted at the funeral. She didn't get to sit where she wanted at the funeral. And kind of like, there's like there were people in Biggie's family that were attached to another woman's family and another woman more than her, and she was jealous of that, because I'm seeing a cat fight that sparked not at the funeral, but it's like it sparked after the funeral. It's like this cat fight it was like an ongoing feud, but it really blew up after this. Kind of like, in the industry, like, I really don't, F her. How could she do this? How could she, it's okay. One, party A, whoever, it's like Lil Kim versus party A. Party A is like, how dare she show up to this funeral? Really? Why would she do that? And she's like, she's like, she feels threatened by it. She's like, I know what she didn't feel like Kim was a harlot. She didn't feel like Kim was a side piece. She felt like, why is she here? Period. She knows that this is messy. She knew that I was gonna be here. She could have grieved outside of here. Like, this woman feels like she belongs to Biggie. Like, she belongs to Biggie. And how could you show up? I know that y'all had a legitimate relationship, but for my image, how could you show up? But I'm seeing Kim kind of like distraught. She's like, fuck it, I'm coming. I'm gonna let you know what's up. And if she didn't show up to this funeral, if this really didn't happen at a funeral, I am seeing this cat fight, and I am seeing if it's not at a funeral, they met somewhere, someplace about this man's death. Maybe it was at the morgue, maybe it was at the hospital. But this event happened. This event happened, and it wasn't a fight, but it was a situation in which Lil Kim's camp, this woman's family, and Biggie's family were all put in a very uneasy, uncomfortable position. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Let me see. How long is this video going on? Okay. Okay. So my next question is, does she regret not having children by him? Why does she alter her look so much? Does she regret altering her look? And then, does she write her own music? Okay, so the first question was, does she regret not having children by him? Absolutely. 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 She never he never got her pregnant. He never tried to get her pregnant. He never tried to get her pregnant. And I'm saying it as they were having raw sex, but he was on some pull-out method type stuff. Like a lot of oral sex. And she did regret that. She did, she wasn't thinking about having his baby at the time. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I don't want to say she didn't want to have a baby, but I don't see it as she was thinking at the time, oh, let me have a baby by him to trap him, or let me have a baby by him to bring him closer to me. I think it was more about, the experience that he was providing for her, the money that he was invested into her, the mentorship that he was giving to her. She loved that about him. But does she regret not having a child? Absolutely, because it's a legacy behind him that she wanted to carry. And she feels that they could have done great. That if she had a child by him, she feels like that child would have been able to continue his legacy. She, like, on some, Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther King the Third, Biggie and Biggie Jr., that's how she feels. And there's a deep sense of regret behind it, if only because she feels like she missed an opportunity to help carry a legacy in the hip-hop industry. And she also wanted to feel more connected to his family and to feel more respected by the family, more integrated into the family. There's a deep wound there about that. I'm hearing it as there's it's not just regret. There's sorrow. There's mourning there. There's there's sorrow there because it's like, okay, I didn't have a baby by him, and he didn't even. It doesn't even seem like he tried to get me, get me pregnant. What does that mean? Could that could I could things have gone further? Could he have wanted somebody more than me? Did that make our relationship less legitimate? What did he think of me? Does that mean something that he wouldn't want to have a kid by me? And I'm hearing if she could get a resounding yes from him, if she could just hear him say, yes, I want that from you. Yes, I wanted you to carry. I wanted you to carry my seed. It would heal her a lot. It would heal her because she still. It's like that wound is still there for him. This isn't something that she's let go of. This isn't like a high school sort of relationship for her. This is something that it's a mantle she's still carrying. The next question was, why does she alter herself so much? So we're talking about why does she alter her body so much? And then does she regret that? Why does she alter her body so much? She never felt like people considered her beautiful. She always heard that she was sexy. She sold sex. She never heard that she, here's what I'm hearing. If she put on a suit and was on Essence magazine, she felt like people wouldn't call her beautiful. She wasn't beautiful unless she was selling sex. And she felt like there was a deficiency there. Her thinking is, if I augment my body, I can become more beautiful. Because right now I'm just sexy. It's for the bedroom. But beautiful women are kept. Beautiful women get married. Beautiful women, the guy wants to stay inside them when they ejaculate. But the sexy women, we don't get to keep these guys. That's how I'm hearing it, and I'm hearing it. It was for her. She feels that beauty is a journey that she had to travel. It was a long road to travel for her. What the spirit is saying to me about that, it was a long road to travel for her. That means that Lil Kim, I'm saying Lil Kim, little. Lil Kim for Lil Kim, she felt like she felt like she was never on target. Like she knew she was like, here's the thing, she knew she was in the room, but she didn't have the strategies to stay in the room. She knew she was beautiful. She knew she was pretty. She knew she was sexy. But she didn't hear it from the industry she needed to hear it from. She didn't hear it from the people that she needed to hear it from. She didn't get to have a child with the man that she wanted to have a child with. But she did have a man who loved her. As a child growing up, she didn't get the attention from the people that she wanted to get attention from. She overly focused on some of the negative things that people said about her when a lot of people said overwhelmingly positive things about her beauty. She felt that she was so far off the mark. She knew that she was on. Think about it think about a dartboard. She was never on the bullseye, but she was always around the bullseye. And if she kept augmenting herself, she'd get closer and closer to her mark. That's how I hear it. And hold on one second. These cards are very light. She also compared herself to a lot of women. White women. Light-skinned women. Colorism does affect her. That is true. She's being very honest about that. Colorism... if colorism is a poison apple, she ate a lot. She's full from the fruit. Okay, it's in her stomach. She has diarrhea. She eats, sleeps, and shits colorism. Okay, and she's still working through a lot of that. She's still working through a lot of that. She still thinks some of those things internally about herself. And this is what I'm hearing. A lot of the guys that she liked chose her over light-skinned women. I mean, chose light-skinned women over her. These guys were okay. It's like a Drake situation. Obviously, Drake is dealing with the way he treats women. He's dealing with some childhood stuff, and he's trying to reinvent himself. Whatever, cool. All right, so Lil Kim, and it's like the women he was chasing back then were just probably not. They were probably not the women that he should have been after. I mean, I don't know. No, they were the women that he should have been after, but he overly personalized his rejections. Okay, and he hasn't let it go. Pathology. Lil Kim, same thing. She got rejected by guys who did choose the lighter skinned women, and she still personalized it, and it played out in a lot of relationships for her, in a lot of public relationships for her in that way, and that's what she takes from it. And so she augmented herself to look like those women, because she felt that those women were on the mark. She was just on the board. And body augmentation is her strategy to staying in the room. And if you're wondering where I'm getting the staying in the room metaphor from, I get it from Sarah Jakes Roberts. She has a sermon. I can't remember the exact sermon when she talks about strategy and how strategy keeps you in the room that you're in when you don't feel like you're supposed to be in a room. And that room is... basically in a physical space where your destiny is. So anyway, does she regret it? She regrets going to certain doctors. She does not regret the surgery. She thinks that she's cute. You can't tell Kim she ain't cute. She hates that people talk shit about her, but she really feels like she's cute. She thinks she's very attractive. And as long as... Here's the thing. She doesn't have a hard time getting attention from guys. And guys actually still want to deal with her. She's got money. I mean, and she has her respect, and there are guys that still want to deal with her. Okay, that's her reality. Despite what you all may say about her on her social media, this is what I'm hearing her say. She regrets going to certain doctors. And she's not above getting more surgery to get some stuff fixed. Okay. Does she write her own music? Sort of. Yes, I have a smile on my face right now because I'm trying to describe this in a Okay. Does Kim write her own music? Kim writes the core of her music. Okay, she writes the core of her music. Not everything is going to rhyme. Okay. And not everything is going to be hot like fire. But she does put down the pen to the paper. And if she writes about 7 of the 16 bars, okay? 7 of the 16 bars. Now, She keeps very intelligent people around her. And she produced, yeah, she let me put it like this. She will come up with the original idea. She opens the door. Okay, she creates the opportunity by just writing it down on paper. You know, some of the bars. And other people come in and they brainstorm together and they collaboratively come up with more bars. And sometimes Lil Kim's bars may not appear in the final product. And that doesn't mean it's not her writing, because she works, you know, she changes around some stuff too. And sometimes she comes up with some really creative ideas. It's not to say that she's a bad writer. It's just she has a writing process, and that's the process, you know. She comes with, you know, with an idea, and it's time we all gonna get to work. You know, support me. And I will say this. That style of writing that she has, she developed it from strategizing how to stay in the room, earning respect, getting people to listen to her without her having to compromise herself. Her mind capital was more important than her booty capital by her taking this route of because here's what I'm hearing to tell you. If she came up with all 16 of the lyrics and she said she didn't need any help, she would have had a much harder time penetrating this industry, because a lot of the men already felt like women needed help with their lyrics. So she just played into those biases so that she could, you know, get her track, get her music, and get her opportunity. You know, she was a master manipulator. But does she write her own music? At the end of the day, you know, what Spirit is saying is that legally she does. It's the Hierophant. It's like, go to court. Take her to court for it. Legally she does. I mean, it says it. The law says that she writes it. I mean, but here's the thing about the Hierophant card. It's like, you know, it's all about the cultural truths, the worldly truths. Legally, she writes her own music, and that's how it gets done. Okay, and my final 3 questions. Okay, how did jail affect Lil Kim? Jail. Let's put it this way. I mean, she wasn't hurting for anything. It's kind of like, you know, Lil Kim Lil Kim didn't have a bad time in jail. You know, she was chilling. She had a pillow for her back. She was eating some good snacks. She got fat. She made a couple of friends and she was chilling. I mean, she had people that was constantly visiting her, and she had a check. She had a couple checks still rolling in for the commissary, and she wasn't really hurting for shit. It was kind of like, where did she go? And people was kind of like, what are you in here for? Jail affecting her. But she also paid a price. It was kind of like, jail is the reason that her career is where it is. I mean, it's like Spirit's just like, look, the stuff that you were involved in, the things that you know, and you know a lot. You know a lot. Let me put it like this. Lil Kim knows about Tupac. It's like, you know a lot. And you don't want to say nothing. And it's cool. But eventually, some shit gonna catch up to you. And she paid a price. I mean, it's like Spirit just took, they took away some of her lifetime earning potential. As well. And Kim is very spiritual. I think Spirit had been talking to her intuitively about who she had been, just hanging around and what she had been, choosing to protect. But she wasn't hurting for anything. It was kind of like she just accepted her punishment. Like, I got my hands dirty a little bit. That's just kind of how it is. It's kind of like with the amount that she knows, it's like this wasn't even a slap on the wrist. It's like, that line in the Players Club, did you even pinch the bitch? But I see after jail, I mean, she just rolled out. It was kind of like, okay, get in my limo, head out, put my Gucci shirts on, and it is what it is. It wasn't a terrible experience for her. Because she didn't feel like she went to jail for something terrible. She didn't feel like she was going to jail for covering up a crime. She was kind of like, I lied. I mean, I minced my words. I'm sorry. It's kind of how she convinces herself about it. But she can do that. She's got money. And that's just how she was raised. It's like, nobody in her family would do that. No one in her family would respect her for doing that. And it's like just a street code that she was loyal to. It didn't matter for her, and she knew that what she was lying about. She knew it was She knew it was better to protect whoever it was by lying than it was to tell the truth. Let's just put it that way, okay? It's just like, okay, it's better to lie for them to know I'm lying, for them to never get to the truth, than for me to tell the truth anyway. So, she just feels like she paid a price, and there's not really much more to it. It's not like it's sitting in the front of her forehead. The next question that I was going to ask was, is she still close with Mary J. Blige and Diddy? With Mary J. Blige and Diddy, it's like close. No, like money wise, yes. Like they all respected. She like respects them for like business, but like as far as knowing her person, like she would sign contracts with them. She would do financial business with them, but she's not. They're not friendly in that way anymore. It's kind of like they're all older, more private. Here's what I have to say. Diddy, this is what I'm hearing. Diddy lives a life that's very erotic. And it is kind of crazy, very playground-esque. Non-disclosure agreements, crazy things happen. And he's very fun. And it's like that's his island, and it's locked off, and he's the king of his castle. Kim lives a more low-key life because she's always lived low-key, always been private, popular girl, cool chick, and she doesn't have an island. She just lives in the city. That's her. Mary J. Blige, her energy is reading for me like very very like global global. It's like exploration, vacations, grandchildren, uh reunion, family reunions, barbecues. Their lives are very different, and I don't see it very much overlapping now. But I also do see that they still have the makings of good friendship. So they all still have respect for each other. I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing real animosity with Kim and Diddy. I'm hearing that there's been tension between the two, but it's been ease. It's kind of like, let's just leave it alone. Let's just let it go. But I do think that with Kim and Diddy, they can't really work together. They can't do okay. Kim and Mary J. Blige could do business together, um, but I don't see them really being friends. It's just two very different lifestyles at this point. Um, and Mary J. Blige is kind of like, this is what I'm hearing from her, picking up from her energy. She's very to herself, recluse, and not even really talking to her family very much like that. Anyway, but this is about Lil Kim. But for Diddy, her and Diddy, they can't do anything together. They can't really do business together. They really like music business. They could probably endorse products together, and she could sit on a board of executives and help to finance a project. But I just don't see it being good for them for them to work together with music. Um, I'm also hearing that Diddy is kind of shady. Like in a he cracks too many jokes, kind of funny shady, and he would say the wrong thing to the wrong. Like if he spent too much time around Kim, he might crack a joke about how she looks, just like, and it gets back to her. And it's no, they don't need to really mix like that. Diddy's kind of shady still. And the final question that I had was, what does her future hold for her? What's going to happen with Kim? She needs to be very careful. Her relationship. I think that there's a third party. There's a woman trying to get in her relationship. It might be one or two women. She needs to be careful. Um, this guy that she's with, he feels like things may have moved too fast for him. Because I'm saying that this Kim thought she was in love with him, but this guy, he feels like things have moved way too fast. Like there's way too much pressure on him. Like integrating into what she has is way too serious. Like those people are like she has to she's older and like here's the thing, like relationships are real. So let me put it this way. If Kim's mom is sick and Kim's stressing out about it, he needs to be stressing out about it. And he needs to be I'm not giving relationship advice. That what I'm saying is that the way that the family works is if Kim is stressing out about somebody in her family dying, he needs to be stressing out about somebody in her family dying. But he feels like things have moved way too quickly in the relationship, and he feels kind of like he's financially like obligated to continue dealing with her. I think that Kim may have sponsored him just a little bit and introduced him to some things that he never would have normally have experienced, like material things in a couple of trips. But I'm saying that this relationship is going to take a lot of energy from her to the point where she's going to she's just going to take the baby and be separate from him. Let me look at this card. You know something? You know something? I think that this is karmic for Kim. There's something that she did to somebody. This is karmic for Kim. This what's about to happen is karmic, where it's like a couple women enter into a relationship. It's kind of like Kim. It's karmic for Kim. Not that she's done something to like. She hasn't transgressed a man. She hasn't transgressed a man in a relationship by cheating on him. She hasn't, been somebody's side piece, in the past 10 years, and this is karma for her. I'm not saying that, but I'm hearing that this is a karmic debt that must be paid. That this is like her humiliation is her atonement for some things, because she's humiliated some people in the past, even though she's really sweet, and this is coming for her. But yeah, this guy feels like the relationship has moved too fast. Things have gotten too serious, and he didn't know what he was getting himself into. His eyes were bigger than his stomach, and he overpromised, and he thought he was stronger than what he actually is. He's not really ready for a committed, long-term, monogamous relationship. That's just what it is. All right, so I hope that you all enjoyed this reading on Lil Kim. Thank you for tuning in. It is probably a really long reading. I hope that this wasn't too long, but I hope that you all enjoyed it. So this was a new deck. I really liked it. I'm also trying a new style of reading. I'm trying to be even more detailed than I've normally been, but thank you all for tuning in to the Secret Service's Celebrity Psychic Readings. I'll see you all later. Bye. I just wanna fly away. First class out of space.